In 2019, Donald Trump stunned the world by declaring his desire to buy Greenland for $600 million, a sum he was willing to pay Denmark annually in exchange for ownership of the icy island. But this bold deal quickly faded into obscurity. Not only was the price far too low for such a vast, resource-rich land, but the local population and the Danish government fiercely opposed it. However, the story didn't end there. In 2024, Trump once again reignited his ambition to acquire Greenland, only this time he openly hinted at the possibility of using force if necessary. What makes this desolate, ice-covered island so irresistibly attractive to Trump and the United States? The answer lies in the vast resources buried beneath its thick ice sheets. In an era where global powers are scrambling to secure oil, gas, and rare metals, Greenland is nothing short of a colossal treasure trove. According to a 2023 study, the island contains 25 of the 34 critical minerals identified by the European Commission. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Greenland is also home to one of the world's largest uranium deposits, an essential element for nuclear energy and atomic weapons. And if that wasn't enticing enough, the island is rich in rare earth elements, the highly sought-after resources that the entire world is chasing, except perhaps China, which already dominates the market. However, America's ambitions for Greenland go beyond just resources. The island holds immense strategic significance in Washington's power struggle with Beijing. Controlling Greenland would allow the U.S. to establish a massive military shield right at its doorstep while preventing China from expanding its influence in the Arctic region. In essence, Greenland isn't just a remote, frozen land, it's a potential military outpost, a fortress that could help the U.S. secure vital maritime routes and safeguard its territory from future threats. That's why every time Trump returns to politics, the dream of acquiring Greenland resurfaces on the agenda. But there's another mystery and even more unsettling reason that might explain America's obsession with Greenland. In 2024, when a group of NASA scientists flew over the region, they unintentionally revived a long-buried story. Beneath more than 30 meters of ice, something is hidden. Something. To uncover the truth, we must turn back the clock to the late 1950s and early 1960s saw a time when the U.S. launched a secret project on the island, raising countless questions from the Danish government, but offering no satisfactory answers. In 1941, the United States and Greenland signed a defense agreement, officially paving the way for the U.S. military to establish bases on the icy island. However, by the late 1950s, when launching a new project, Washington completely bypassed a crucial formality, informing the rightful owner, Denmark. The Danish government immediately demanded answers, and the Pentagon's response was nothing more than a vague, nonchalant statement. The U.S. was merely testing Arctic construction techniques and evaluating a PM-2A nuclear reactor. But what was the truth? PM-2A was no ordinary reactor. It was the world's first fully transportable, reassemblable nuclear power unit, designed to be deployed and operated in the most remote locations. It ran on uranium-235, enriched to 93% nearly weapons-grade level, and now it was being secretly tested on Danish territory without a single warning. One can only imagine Copenhagen's shock upon discovering this. They had signed an agreement to protect Greenland, yet their land had become an unregulated testing ground for an unproven nuclear device. with potentially catastrophic risks. Clearly, the US wasn't just testing construction capabilities in Arctic conditions. They were executing a plan they never intended to reveal, and that was only the tip of the iceberg. The secrets buried beneath Greenland's permafrost remained hidden until 1995. Before that, every document and piece of information related to the project had been classified as top secret, entirely concealed from the world's eyes. But why was this project so crucial to Washington? Before laying the first foundation, the US had to overcome brutal challenges, carving long pathways through frozen terrain, and transporting 6,000 tons of supplies through the unforgiving Arctic. They could rely on Thule Air Base, nearby as a logistics hub. Yet even with this advantage, each shipment of materials, tools, and equipment still took up to 70 hours, a staggering figure in such an extreme environment. Finally, when everything was ready, the United States officially inaugurated an unprecedented secret base Camp Century. The name might sound simple, but the ambition behind it was anything but. This was not just a research station. It was an engineering marvel hidden beneath the ice. The trench system, spanning 7.5 meters wide and over 25 feet deep, was carved directly into the ice. To accomplish this, the US deployed massive machines capable of moving 21,100 cubic feet of snow per hour, an impressive feat, even by today's standards. Once the trenches were dug, they were covered with steel roofs and buried under snow to shield them from the relentless Arctic storms. Camp Century was more than just a military base. It was a mystery waiting to be uncovered, and the most astonishing revelations were yet to come. The most remarkable structure of Camp Century was its central trench, stretching 300 meters long, functioning as the main avenue, connecting all other sections of the base. In total, Camp Century housed 26 tunnels, spanning more than 3.2 kilometers, a miniature city hidden beneath the permafrost, fully equipped for everyday life. Prefabricated wooden buildings were erected within the icy depths, housing a dining hall, a small library, a chapel, a gym, and even a movie theater. The sleeping quarters were efficiently designed to accommodate up to 200 beds, transforming this base into a fully operational outpost, a testament to human resilience on this frozen planet. Even the water supply system was a masterpiece of engineering ingenuity. Raul Rodriguez, the project's chief engineer, devised a simple yet highly effective method, drilling a deep well, inserting a pipeline, and connecting it to a steam generator to melt the ice. The result? This system not only provided up to 40,000 liters of water per day, but the water's purity exceeded that of laboratory filtered water by threefold. An astonishing achievement, considering the harsh conditions they faced. Camp Century was not just a military base, it was a statement of human ambition and our ability to conquer nature. But beneath the permafrost, was it really just science and engineering at play? Or were there secrets yet to be revealed? At its core, Camp Century resembled a small town designed for a few hundred people, except instead of being on solid ground, it was buried deep within the ice, powered by a mobile nuclear reactor. And that, in turn, led to unforeseen complications. You remember that this system was merely an experiment, right? The engineers quickly realized they could not resolve the issues caused by the ice's constant movement. The PM-2A nuclear reactor, the pride of the project, operated for only 33 months before being shut down in 1963. Had it continued, the consequences could have been far more severe. The reason? Ice is not rock. Building a base within ice is not the same as carving into a mountain, because ice is not static. It constantly shifts, expands, and contracts over time. Initially, Camp Century was expected to remain operational for at least a decade, but after just 4 years, the tunnels were being compressed from all sides, with many areas reaching the structural limit. Faced with an irreversible situation, the U.S. had no choice but to abandon Camp Century in 1967. What began as an ambitious and groundbreaking project was quickly buried beneath thick layers of snow, gradually fading from maps and human memory. Today, only those who were part of the project know its exact location. Even NASA, one of America's most advanced organizations, was unaware of its existence until they accidentally detected traces of the base on radar while flying over Greenland in 2024. But why was Camp Century's location forgotten? And more importantly, why might the U.S. want to unearth it once again? A mystery remains unsolved. The answer lies in a top-secret plan known as Project Iceworm. It turns out Camp Century was not just an Arctic engineering experiment or a simple research station. Behind its facade was a bold military ambition to transform Greenland into a vast underground labyrinth filled with nuclear missiles, a giant, slumbering beast hidden beneath the ice. During the Cold War, nuclear weapons were not just part of the game, they were the game changers. The U.S. planned to construct a tunnel system spanning 4,000 kilometers, covering 3,100 square kilometers of Greenland's territory, with approximately 600 missile launch sites. These missiles would be constantly relocated beneath the ice, making them nearly impossible to detect and ready to strike at a moment's notice. A colossal underground fortress, untouchable and impenetrable. But was this plan even feasible? Could a project of such scale truly function in Greenland's harsh conditions? And more importantly, is the U.S. secretly reviving it? In reality, they never had the chance to complete Project Iceworm. From the very beginning of Camp Century's construction, American engineers quickly realized a fatal flaw. Ice is not stable. It is not solid ground, but a constantly shifting, evolving mass. Thousands of kilometers of tunnels would never withstand the relentless silent force of nature's movement. Project Iceworm collapsed before it could even be completed. The secrets of Camp Century and Iceworm were buried beneath the frozen wasteland, seemingly lost forever. But as technology advances, the question arises, is the U.S. attempting to resurrect this abandoned dream? With progress in engineering techniques, what was once impossible may now be within reach. The only problem is, will Denmark allow history to repeat itself? The answer seems clear. They have every reason to say no. In 1968, the skies over Greenland blazed with a massive fireball. An American B-52, carrying a weapon capable of wiping out an entire city, was plummeting toward the icy expanse of North Star Bay. On board were 4 B-28 FI thermonuclear bombs, devices of unimaginable destructive power. 6 crew members parachuted to safety in a desperate escape. One never returned. As the metallic corpse of the B-52 shattered against the ice, a question more terrifying than any nightmare arose. What happened to the bombs? The disaster triggered an unprecedented search operation. The US and Denmark mobilized over 700 specialists, 70 government agencies, battling negative 60 degrees Celsius temperatures and winds that howled like the voice of death itself. On the surface, a temporary base was erected in the frozen wilderness. Beneath, the Star 3 submersible was deployed, navigating through thick layers of ice, hunting for fragments laced with uranium and plutonium elements, capable of sustaining death for billions of years. The official report claimed that all warheads had been recovered. But was that the truth? Radiation levels still lingered around the crash site. The ice remained stained black with leaked fuel, like a wound that never healed. And then, in 1987, 1988, and again in 2000, Danish media dropped a bombshell. One of the 4 nuclear weapons was never found. The story became a ghost buried beneath the frozen wasteland until the Earth began to warm. The ice that had once concealed deadly secrets was melting. One day, Camp Century might reemerge, dragging everything the US once tried to bury with it. And if that missing bomb is still there, who knows what might happen? From the moment the experimental nuclear reactor at Camp Century was activated, an invisible threat seeped into Greenland's ice. Stray neutrons from the reactor escaped into the frozen abyss, their path unknown, like wandering phantoms in the eternal cold. But the real danger wasn't accidental leaks, it was what the US had deliberately left behind. Nuclear waste with radiation levels reaching 1.2 billion becquerels, enough to make any scientist shudder. 52,800 gallons of diesel fuel seeping into the ice, leaving permanent scars on the pristine white landscape. 6.3 million gallons of untreated toxic wastewater, buried in the ice like an ecological time bomb waiting to explode. You might wonder, why did they abandon it all? The answer was simple, yet filled with arrogance. The ice will never melt. This was the absolute belief of American planners at the time that Greenland would forever be entombed in snow, and every trace of their presence would remain hidden beneath the eternal ice. A seemingly logical assumption, but one that would prove to be a grave miscalculation. Today, climate change is exposing a terrifying reality. The ice is melting faster than ever. If this trend continues, all that toxic waste could seep into the water supply, placing the US at the center of the Arctic's greatest environmental catastrophe. But there is a sliver of hope, at least for now. A 2021 study by the Geological Survey of Denmark and Greenland, GEOS, found that the ice has only melted up to 1.1 meters, meaning that Camp Century remains buried deep beneath the frozen surface. For the time being, annual snowfall is still enough to keep the base sinking deeper, serving as a natural shield against the looming disaster. This may be the reason why the United States has temporarily avoided the wrath of the international community. But the question is, for how long? When Camp Century rises from the ice, bringing with it its entire toxic legacy, who will be held accountable? At this moment, America's footprint in Greenland seems to be marked only by severe consequences, from military ambitions to environmental scars that refuse to heal. But is there another perspective? Could there still be a legitimate reason for the US to return to Greenland amid the buried secrets in the ice? Camp Century was not just a bold military experiment, it was also a gateway to Greenland's deepest mysteries. When the base was still operational, American engineers embarked on an almost impossible mission, drilling deep into the ice. They spent years cutting through layers of frozen snow until, on a fateful day in 1966, their drill suddenly stopped. At a depth of 11.2 kilometers, they encountered an incredibly hard substance, strong enough to burn out the drill completely. It was the surface of Greenland's continent, buried under the ice for millions of years. What they did not expect was that this drilling operation would unintentionally spark a scientific revolution. They retrieved an ancient ice core that contained secrets no one had anticipated. By analyzing stable isotopes within the ice, scientists were able to reconstruct Earth's climate history over hundreds of thousands of years, a crucial foundation for modern weather prediction models. But that was only the beginning. As they continued to examine the ice core, they discovered something unimaginable. Hidden deep beneath the permafrost, in a place believed to be nothing but barren rock, they found fragments of leaves, twigs, moss, and even insect remains. Their existence turned scientific understanding upside down. Previously, scientists believed that Greenland had been covered in ice for millions of years. But this discovery proved a shocking truth. Around 400,000 years ago, Greenland was a thriving land of vast steppe, teeming with life. This revelation led to a terrifying question. If Greenland melted once before, could it happen again? The answer is yes. Hundreds of trillions of gallons of water are trapped in Greenland's ice, and with the current rate of global warming, the moment they pour into the ocean may not be far off. When that happens, sea levels will rise higher than ever, threatening to submerge coastal cities worldwide. But the story doesn't end there. The United States has always been at the forefront of every game. And with the mystery of Camp Century still unsolved, they certainly won't stop now. Because within that ice, there may be more than we think, and not everything is purely scientific. So, does the US still have a chance to return to Greenland? After a series of past mistakes, the Danish government will undoubtedly be reluctant to allow Washington's presence again. But international politics is never that simple. If one door is closed, they will find another way in. And in reality, the US already has the perfect location to carry out any plans unnoticed. Do you remember Thule Air Base? THUV, the supply hub for Camp Century? It's still operational. But this isn't just some abandoned airfield or an obscure outpost. THUV is a massive military fortress, a highly secured stronghold in the heart of the Arctic. Take a look at its true scale. 338,000 acres larger than New York City. A massive runway capable of accommodating any military aircraft. 10 aircraft hangars capable of housing B-2 bombers or even other classified vehicles. A 100 million-gallon fuel storage facility, ready to sustain operations for years. But there's more. Inside THUV, the infrastructure remains fully intact. 82 miles of internal road, 122 barracks, capable of housing thousands of troops. 63 warehouses stocked with supplies and military equipment, 6 large dining halls, a gym, a theater, a recreation club, a church, a post office, and even a convenience store. In other words, there isn't just a military base, it's a self-sustaining city. At its peak, this place was home to 10,000 US military personnel, almost 1/5 of Greenland's current population. Today, that number has dwindled to just around 700, but they continue to maintain all strategic operations. And don't forget, THU remains a critical early warning center. Its radar can instantly detect any ballistic missile launch from Russia or China. A satellite monitoring system tracks the movement of everything in the Arctic sky. The US strategic mission here never ended, it merely changed form. So, is the US still interested in Greenland? The answer couldn't be clearer. Greenland isn't just a frozen wasteland, it's a key piece in the global strategy. And if the US wants to return to Camp Century, they won't need permission. They'll just need a plan sophisticated enough that no one notices.